After every gym battle, I spin a wheel which gives me a random member of the Eevee line to use in my playthrough of Pokemon Soul Silver. There's 7 evolutions, all of which have different types, so that'll be exciting. In a Nuzlocke, if a Pokemon faints, it's dead forever and can never be used, and I can only use Eevees in battle. The rest of the rules for this playthrough are shown here and in the description down below. Also, keep watching as this challenge gets pretty out of hand pretty quickly. The first step of this playthrough is picking a starter, none of which are evolutions. I picked Chikorita, so my rival has Cyndaquil, the scariest of the starters. Also, look at this thing, tell me it's not seeing some stuff. Since I have no eligible encounters, I spin the wheel to get my true starter of the run, Flareon, my favorite evolution. Flareon is a great Pokemon, especially into upcoming gym fights. I name my Flareon Corgi. I would also like to point out that I use special methods to make sure every ball results in a perfect capture, as the challenge is more so about using the evolutions and not catching them. Anyway, we can skip right to the fight for the first gym badge against Falconer and his flying types. Since Flareon doesn't learn a fire move until level 15, which is past Falconer's level cap, I'm stuck with normal moves. Anyway, Falconer leads off with a Pidgey and I lead off with Corgi. Corgi hits a hard tackle before Pidgey retaliates with his own tackle. This means a follow-up tackle gets the kill, leaving just his ace Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto actually outspeeds and hits a harder tackle before I go for a tail whip to lower his defense. After taking another tackle from the stupid bird, I actually get off my own tackle for less damage than what I was expecting. After we both get off tackles, how many times have I said that word, we're both in the yellow. Thankfully, Corgi's able to power through and get the KO with, you guessed it, another tackle, winning me the battle and the first gym badge. Another gym badge means another encounter, and I spin the wheel, this time getting Umbreon. Umbreon is another favorite of mine, and I'm glad I get to use it this early. For today's comment question, tell me your favorite evolution in the comments below, and while you're down there, you might as well subscribe to the channel. I name my Umbreon Linus. Apparently this old man hurt his back, but he should be lying on the ground or have more support or something, honestly. Seems kind of fishy to me. But that's neither here nor there, as it's time to face Bugsy for the second gym badge. Even with a fire type, things are still going to be tough because of Scyther with Focus Energy and U-Turn. He leads off with Scyther and I lead off with Corgi. Scyther sets up a Focus Energy to raise that critical hit ratio before an Ember does a third. Scyther then gets a non-critical hit quick attack before an Ember leaves it in the yellow, meaning Scyther heals up with a Citrus Berry. After taking another non-critical hit quick attack, an Ember leaves Scyther in the red. Bugsy then heals up back to full HP before another Ember gets the burn. This is actually great because it nerfs Scyther's attack. After taking another non-critical hit quick attack, an Ember plus burn damage takes it out. From here, I'm actually able to kill his last 2 Pokemon, being a Metapod and a Kakuna with a couple Embers apiece, winning me the battle and the second gym badge. With another badge under our belt, we can spin the wheel for another evolution. This time we end up rolling Glaceon. Unfortunately, I forgot there was a rival fight before I can get this encounter, meaning I have to face our rival Pikachu with just 2 Pokemon. Pikachu leads off with his Ghastly, and I lead off with Corgi. Corgi immediately goes on the offense and hits a very hard Ember, which leaves Ghastly in the red. Ghastly just wastes a turn going for a Spite. This means a follow-up Ember gets the KO. Second is Zubat, so I decide to switch into Linus for his debut battle on a Mist Supersonic. I don't have a better Dark-type move, so Pursuit will have to do, and it does around half. A second Pursuit low rolls and leaves him in the red as Zubat connects with a Supersonic. I then hurt myself in confusion as Zubat hits a weak Leech Life. Luckily, I break through on the following turn and get the KO with a Pursuit. Pikachu's final Pokemon is a Quilava. Quilava actually manages to outspeed and hits an annoying smokescreen as I once again hurt myself in confusion. From here, I switch into Corgi on a Leer. After tanking a smokescreen, I actually whiff a Tail Whip, which is pretty annoying. Quilava then gets off another Leer before I connect with a Tail Whip to lower its defense. From here, I switch into Linus on another Leer. Quilava loves going for Leer, and he does so again before I go for a Tail Whip. From here, a few more pursuits kill Quilava, winning me the battle against Pikachu finally. That Quilava could have been a problem if he actually decided to attack, but luckily he didn't. As a reward for this battle, I encounter a Glaceon who I name Percy. Glaceon will be great for upcoming fights against Lance and Claire. In the forest, I meet a move tutor who will teach all of my Pokemon Headbutt, which is a great move, especially into the upcoming fight against Whitney. But with that, I'm in Goldenrod City. There's actually a lot to do here, but first we have to take on Whitney. If you've ever played these games, you know how hard a team is. Her miltank is very bulky and has Attract, which gives Pokemon a 50% chance of the opposite gender not to attack. She also has Rollout, which 2 members of my team are weak to. Luckily, I can make some preparations, like going to the game corner and buying the TMs for Flamethrower and Ice Beam. Anyway, it's time to face Whitney for badge number 3. Her lead Pokemon is a Clefairy, and I lead off with Corgi. Corgi immediately proves his worth by hitting a Flamethrower, which leaves Clefairy in the yellow HP range. Clefairy in retaliation just hits a weak Double Slap. This means on the following turn I get the KO with a Flamethrower. Second and last is Miltank, who immediately decides to be annoying and goes for an Attract. On the following turn, Miltank hits a Stomp as Flareon is captivated by Miltank. From here, I decide to switch Corgi out into Linus, who's bulky enough to tank a Stomp on the switch. After tanking another Stomp, I go for a Tail Whip. After tanking yet again another Stomp, I decide to go for a weak Headbutt. After lowering Miltank's defense to -2, I decide to switch out into Percy for his debut battle. Percy knows Ice Beam, which is actually powerful enough to KO Miltank in a few turns winning me the battle. I actually got pretty lucky as Miltank never used Rollout once throughout this fight. Another badge under our belt means we get to spin the wheel again. This time my encounter is an Espeon, which will be good into Bruno and Koga, but not good into upcoming fights such as Morty. Regardless, Walter is a great addition to the team, and Corgi, Linus, and Percy are just glad to have another team member. With that, we can make it to the Burnt Tower, where a rival fight with Pikachu awaits. This is actually pretty easy as Corgi sweeps his entire team, so to save time and to save you from being bored, we're going to be skipping this fight. In the basement of the tower, I find the legendary dog Pokemon, but they decide to run away because my EEVEELUTIONS are just too powerful for them to handle. Anyway, we make it to Ecruteak City, where we have to face Morty for the 4th gym badge. His lead Pokemon is a Ghastly, and I decide to lead off with Linus for obvious reasons. Ghastly is somehow able to outspeed and goes for a Curse, but it doesn't really matter, and a Payback, a TM I found, just takes it out in one shot. Unfortunately, the Curse means we lose some HP every turn, so Linus can only stay in for so long. Second is his ace Gengar, so I fire a massive Payback, bringing Gengar down to just his berry. Gengar in retaliation then goes for a Shadow Ball. On the following turn, Gengar then outspeeds and hits another Shadow Ball before a final Payback takes him out. Kirsten leaves me with just 9 HP before Haunter comes in. This means I have to switch into Corgi on a Nightshade. After taking a Sucker Punch, this thing just dies to one neutral Flamethrower. This just leaves Morty with a Haunter, who actually connects with a Hypnosis to put me asleep. This is incredibly annoying. From here, I decide to switch into Percy on a Dream Eater. Gengar then misses a Hypnosis, meaning an Ice Beam on the following turn gets the KO, winning me the battle and the 4th gym badge of the playthrough. It's kinda nice that this badge was a gimme, as it's actually a pretty hard gym badge otherwise. This means it's once again time to spin the wheel. This time it's Leafeon, and if I'm gonna be honest, this is the worst encounter we could have gotten because the grass type sucks. Look at this type chart. But hey, at least Pickles will be good to Chuck's Poliwrath, and that's about it, though she may have a later use down the line. With that, I arrive in Olivine City, home of Jasmine, arguably our hardest challenge yet. She only has 3 Pokemon, but all 3 are Steel type, and with Thunderwave on her Magnemite, things are not looking good for our team. But first, we gotta climb an elevator. So, Espeon, how's your day going? And then we actually have to face another gym leader, this time being Chuck and his fighting types. He leads off with a Primeape, and I lead off with Walter for his debut battle. Walter starts us off great by getting the one-shot on Primeape with a Confusion. Second is his ace Poliwrath, who actually survives a Confusion in the yellow, bringing him down to his berry. And then in retaliation, he hits a pretty hard Body Slam that of course paralyzes me. Luckily I have synchronized, meaning Poliwrath also gets paralyzed, which is a relief. Since a critical hit Body Slam would kill me, I switch into Pickles, who tanks the Body Slam much better. On the next turn, Poliwrath sets up a Focus Energy, which he's never going to take advantage of, because Pickles gets a critical hit Razor Leaf, which knocks it out in one turn, winning me the battle and the 5th gym badge. This time I spin the wheel for a coin flip between Vaporeon and Jolteon. I end up winning Vaporeon, which will do pretty well into Jasmine's Steelix, as well as some of the Elite Four. I name my Vaporeon Hydrogen. After giving some medicine to an Ampharos, we can go ahead and face Jasmine for the 6th gym badge. Having just caught Hydrogen, I'm feeling a little bit less worried ahead of the battle. Jasmine's lead Magnemite just gets cleanly one-shot from a Flamethrower with Corgi. This brings in her ace Steelix. I hard switch into Hydrogen for his debut battle as Jasmine annoyingly sets up the Sand. Sand that Steelix will never be able to take advantage of, because one serve from Hydrogen just drowns the Rock Snake. Jasmine's final Pokemon is a Magnemite, so I switch out Hydrogen into Corgi. Magnemite then connects with a Supersonic and a Thunder Wave proc, raising my odds of attacking down to just 8%. Luckily, in all odds, I get the KO with a Flamethrower, winning me the battle and the 6th gym badge. If I'd gotten Jolteon, that fight would have been super hard, but luckily I didn't. Surprise, surprise to nobody, my last encounter ends up being Jolteon, which is an incredible encounter into several bosses, most notably Price and some of Lance's team. I name my Jolteon Kai, though J may have been a better name. Comment if you get the reference. Whoa, Lance just killed a guy. God, that joke is so overdone. Anyway, I take out Admin Petrol's pretty easy team, bringing me to the fight against Price for the 7th gym badge. However, both Leafeon and Glaceon are overleveled, meaning I have to box them. Price leads off with Seal, and I lead off with Kai, who gets the KO with a Thunderbolt. Second is Piloswine, and my brain turned off because I forgot this thing was immune to Thunderbolt, meaning the swine sets up a free hail. Things are not looking good. I decide to switch into Hydrogen on a Mud Bomb, which lowers my accuracy. Luckily, I get lucky because my Surf gets the clean KO and I connect. Third and last is Dugong, so I decide to switch out into Walter on an Aurora Beam, bringing me into the yellow HP range. A Confusion barely touches Dugong on the following turn as he connects with another Aurora Beam, bringing me into the yellow. Since a critical hit on the following turn would kill me, I decide to switch into Linus on a rest to recover HP. This is actually perfect because I can then switch out into Kai, but this thing has Sleep Talk, meaning I have to tank an Aurora Beam. It doesn't exactly matter because I outspeed and get the KO with a Thunderbolt, winning me the battle. This battle could have gone so much smoother, but hey, that's life for you. After fighting every Team Rocket admin and receiving the world's best fake out, we arrive in Blackthorn City, home of Claire and the 8th gym leader. To be honest, there's not much to do in between gyms, but to travel. Anyway, I do have a plan that involves sacrificing my weakest link. With that out of the way, it's time to face Claire for the 8th and final gym badge. Her lead Pokemon is Gyarados, and I lead off with Kai, who takes advantage of this thing's 4x weakness by getting the KO with a Thunderbolt. Claire then sends in Dragonair, so I decide to bring out Percy on a Mist Aquatail. Percy luckily has enough special attack and speed to outspeed and get the KO with an Ice Beam, bringing in her ace Kingdra. This thing is disgusting with sniper hydro pumps. Kingdra comes in and goes for a smoke screen before Percy gets an amazing critical at Ice Beam, leaving Kingdra on the red before a berry restores its HP. After tanking a massive hydro pump, an Ice Beam gets the KO and Kingdra, winning me the battle and the 8th and final gym badge. Had I not gotten a lucky critical hit, I would have had to use Leafeon to get some chip and have Kingdra kill him off and then have Kai come in and kill him, but luckily that didn't happen, so Pickles is alive for now. There's actually a whole bunch of stuff I have to do before the Pokemon League. The first is taking on these Kimono girls. Funny enough, they all use Evolutions, but mine are superior. Linus takes out the Umbreon, Kai takes out the Espeon, and Hydrogen is able to drown Flareon with surprisingly 2 Surfs. Jolteon requires a bit of a special strategy of using Synchronized Walter and then pivoting into Percy to get the KO with an Ice Beam. As a reward for this endeavor, I encounter the legendary Pokemon Lugia and run away because I'm not randomly losing a Pokemon there. With that, there's one more fight against Pikachu in Victory Road. He leads off with Sneasel and I lead off with Corgi. Sneasel outspeeds and hits a feint attack before Flamethrower gets the one-shot. Second is Golbat, so I switch into Kai on a Confuse Ray. Against all odds, Kai outspeeds and connects with a Thunderbolt for the clean one-shot. Third is Typhlosion, so I switch out into Hydrogen on a Lava Plume. That of course gets the burn. I then have to tank a Swift on the following turn before I'm able to go for a Surf for the clean one-shot. Fourth is Magneton, so it's back off to Corgi on a Spark. On the following turn, Magneton manages to get off a Thunder Wave to paralyze me. I of course break through and get the KO with a Flamethrower. Haunter comes in, so I switch out into Linus as Haunter sets up an annoying curse to boost its stats. Haunter then connects with a Confuse Ray, but luckily I get the KO with a Feint Attack. Last is Kadabra, but because of the curse, I'm gonna have to switch out into Percy on a failed Disable. Kadabra then wastes time going for a Reflect on the following turn before an Ice Beam seals the deal, wrapping up the series on underwhelming fights with Pikachu. But with that, we're at the Pokemon League. 5 trainers await us, and coming up with strategies to fight them all can be a real challenge. Luckily, my team is crafted to take on said challenge. The evolution that I'm leaving behind is no surprise. Pickles has terrible matchups into almost every Pokemon, so he'll be cheering the team from the sidelines. Speaking of a final team, here they are leveled up to the final cap of 47 to match Karen's Houndoom. After the Houndoom is defeated, I'll use a cap of 50 to match Lance's Dragonite. Let's do this. First is Will, the Psychic type trainer. He leads off with his Xatu and I lead off with Linus. Xatu outspeeds and gets off of me first Feint Attack for a smidge as my Feint Attack does half. On the next turn, Xatu connects with a Confuse Ray and I hurt myself. I then switch into Kai as Xatu U-turns into Jinx. Kai then outspeeds on the following turn and hits a Thunderbolt for around half of its HP before taking a Psychic that would have flat out killed if it crit. Luckily on the following turn, a Thunderbolt gets the KO. Xatu then comes back in, but I outspeed and get the KO with a Thunderbolt baiting an Executor. Since I'm dead to another critical hit, I decide to switch out into Percy on a Psychic. Percy then outspeeds and gets the clutch critical hit on Executor, killing him. This baits in Slowbro, so it's off to Linus on an Amnesia. I then outspeed to hit a Feint Attack as Slowbro sets up a bunch of curses. Eventually, I get Slowbro into the yellow HP range before switching out into Kai on a Water Pulse. From here, I go for a Thunderbolt to take out Slowbro. Last is Xatu, but Kai is powerful and speedy enough to just take it out with one Thunderbolt, winning me the battle and the first Elite Four member fight. 1 down, 4 to go. Second is Koga, the Poison Trainer. He leads off with an Ariados and I lead off with Walter. I hard switch out into Corgi on a Spiderweb. On the next turn, a Flamethrower torches the spider. Second is Fortress, which is a living fire hazard, so another Flamethrower blow torches it. Actually, it protects once and then I get the KO with a Flamethrower, but oh well. Third is Muck, who lives a Flamethrower and sets up an annoying Minimize. From here, it's back off to Walter on a missed Gunk Shot. Muck's been restoring HP with a Black Sludge, but it's not enough to save him from a Psybeam, which gets the clean KO. Fourth is Crobat, who also like Muck gets one shot by a Psybeam. For anybody wondering, you don't get Psychic until the post game, so I'm stuck with Psybeam. Last is Venomath, so it's back off to Corgi on a Toxic. Venomath then outspeeds to hit a Psychic before being one shot by a Flamethrower, winning me the battle. Corgi really carried that fight, good job. Third is Bruno. His lead Pokemon is a Hitmontop and I lead out with Walter. Walter's Psybeam leaves Hitmontop in the red as it goes for a failed counter. Bruno heals, but it doesn't matter and another Psybeam gets the KO. Second is Onyx, because that would make too much sense. Anyway, a Psybeam gets the KO, baiting in Machamp. He tanks a Psybeam in the yellow before healing up with a Berry before a Rock Slide brings us to half. Luckily I outspeed and KO with a Psybeam. Last is Hitmonlee, who survives a Psybeam in the red before a Blaze Kick brings me down to 4 HP. This means I have to switch out into Hydrogen on another Blaze Kick. On the next turn, Hitmonlee confuses me and I hurt myself in confusion. Hitmonlee then hits a high jump kick, bringing me into the yellow before I go for a Surf to KO. Last is Hitmonchan, and since I'm pretty low, I gotta switch out into Kai, who's able to get the KO with a couple of Thunderbolts, winning me the third Elite Four member battle. Fourth and last in the Elite Four is Karen. She leads off with an Umbreon and I lead off with Kai. After some confusion shenanigans, a Thunderbolt knocks Umbreon out. Fourth is Murkrow, who gets sniped by a Thunderbolt baiting in Houndoom. I hard switch into Hydrogen on a Flamethrower. Houndoom then sets up a nasty plot before his Surf brings Houndoom into the red, which actually procs it to heal with a berry. For whatever reason, I accidentally switch into Walter, but it works as Karen switches into Vileplume to the AI. Anyway, Walter hits a side beam before Vileplume paralyzes me with a stun spore. Karen heals as Walter stays fully paralyzed. Vileplume then hits a Petal Blizzard, bringing me down to just 5 HP before a side beam brings him into the red. Realizing what I have to do, I sack Walter to get a safe switch into Percy. RIP buddy. At the very least, Percy's able to come in and clean things up with an Ice Beam. Houndoom comes back in, and since Percy is a fire hazard, I hard switch into Hydrogen on a Flamethrower. Houndoom then hits a Crunch, bringing me into the red before Surf gets the KO. Last is Gengar, so it's after Linus on a hard Focus Blast. I then realize I gotta risk it because the Focus Blast did around half of its HP. Luckily, on the following turn, Linus lives a Focus Blast and is able to get the KO with the Feint Attack. Just kidding, it does around half. I then have to switch out into Corgi on a Lick. Gengar then goes for a Spite, meaning I'm able to go for a Flamethrower to get the KO, winning me the battle. Honestly, it really stings to lose Walter like that. But I don't even have time to grieve because I have to face the champion Lance. His team is super powerful, and with just 5 Pokemon, it's gonna be tough. Luckily, I have good answers into his team. Lance starts off with his Gyarados, and I start off with Kai, who's able to outspeed and get the clean KO with a Thunderbolt. Second is Lance's first Dragonite, so I switch out into Corgi on an Outrage. Corgi isn't strong enough to tank the Outrage, but I have no choice. RIP buddy. The worst part is, Corgi's not looking like the only one who's gonna die. At the very least, Percy comes in, can tank an Outrage, and fire off an Ice Beam to kill Dragonite, baiting in Aerodactyl. Since Percy can't one-shot this thing, I have to switch out into Kai on a Crunch. Kai then responds with a Thunderbolt for the clean one-shot. Man, he's been pulling his weight. Third is Lance's third Dragonite, so I hard switch into Linus on a Dragon Rush. Linus is then able to tank a few more Dragon Rushes before confusing Dragonite. Dragonite then hurts itself in Confusion, meaning I can get off a Feint Attack. I don't get lucky with Confusion, and Linus dies to a Thunder. RIP buddy. At least Hydrogen can come in for free and nail Dragonite with an Ice Beam that I taught him right before this fight. Fifth is Lance's third Dragonite, and this thing outspeeds to paralyze me, but luckily I break through and get the KO with an Ice Beam for the clean one-shot. Last is Charizard, and since I'm paralyzed, things are not looking good. An Air Slash flinches me. Air Slash on the next turn doesn't flinch, but I get paralyzed. Charizard's Air Slash then flinches me again. I have no choice but to watch Hydrogen die. Honestly, you kinda deserved it. Anyway, I get Kai on the field, who's able to nail Charizard with a Thunderbolt, but it's not enough, and a Fire Fang leaves you on 4 HP. I have no PP left, meaning I gotta do the unthinkable. Lance heals up, and I go for a Sand Attack to lower Charizard's accuracy. I go for one last one before I get KO'd. Percy stands alone on the battlefield, and it's because of his Eevee strength he's able to dodge 2 attacks from Charizard to get the KO, winning me the battle and the run. Honestly, I didn't deserve to win that run. Given the fact that I dodged 2 attacks from Charizard, and any one of those attacks, had they connected, would have killed. Anyway, I'm just grateful I won the run. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, why not comment, like, and subscribe to help the channel out. If you like this video, why not check out this video here. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the flip. Peace. And remember, Nuzlocks are just self-imposed rules on a children's game. It's okay to have fun.